Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapiyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. I guess by now you figured out who's the boss. I don't know why people argue. Everybody knows who she is, right? But I'm not talking about that boss. I'm talking about who is the manager. I remember when I first heard Gurudev, and I mentioned on the first day briefly, I heard Gurudev as a youngster speaking to all top executives of Bombay, and his topic was value-based management. Mentioned this morning. He was the pioneer of this kind of vision. And first thing he started off by saying that you might have any system working in your company, but finally the success of your company depends on its manager, call it today CEO, on its manager. If the manager is good, all the systems are at work to bring about prosperity, development. When the manager himself or herself is not proper and is not able to manage, then when you have such a leader, then overnight you have seen large companies that have been going on for decades collapsing. So how important it is that for your company you choose the right manager. And if you have a proper manager, you don't have to worry about other things. Is it not? At the same time, in our own life, today we had the session on storm to perform, but there are so many storms rising in our life, challenges, situations, etc. And we have to manage these situations to say that there will be no stress, there's going to be no traffic, there is going to be no heartaches, or all children are going to turn out as angels. You will not be able to, is it not? Therefore, in everything in our life, it is our management of things that brings about success, happiness, and prosperity in our life. So he said, see how important a manager is. But who is the manager of your life? You might say, my wife. Or my husband thinks he is and tries to manage me. But the manager of our life is our mind. And this mind, if it is well trained and equipped, it is the mightiest power in the universe, and there is nothing in this world you cannot manage. Today only one parent was asking me that how do we make our children into leaders? If they learn to manage their life, all that is required even to be a leader in society. Otherwise, to get a position, you can even buy a position these days. Yeah, be close to some powerful person, at least temporarily you can get a position and call yourself as a leader. But until and unless you've not learned to lead your own mind, that leadership will collapse eventually. Yeah? So what you're giving to your children in Bal Vihar, what the bulk of the scriptures that are leading you to discover your infinite nature as supreme bliss, the whole bulk of the scriptures and the practices are actually to tame this mind, to focus this mind, to channelize this mind. In fact, for all that, you have to learn to manage this mind. And if the mind is well trained, there is nothing in this world you cannot manage. Another question was asked, how did you learn to manage all this? Yeah. Gurudev once said, did a Shankaracharya go to some university and do undergrad, middle grad, super grad? School is graduation. Bachelor's degree is, from when did it become undergrad? When they want you to do masters. And master is also now soon going to be undergrad. And why do you want to do a PhD? To know more and more of less and less? Yeah. They did not go to any university to learn management. Nor did our Gurudev, who was highly educated, go to any management school. Buddha, okay, he was a prince. But what was that management, that vision of management, the training of management that these great masters did? That what they started continues for millenniums. See? That kind of mind management is taught in our scriptures. So as I said, it's a huge topic, yet it can be summarized in brief. First of all, what is the mind? Really speaking, most people will not be able to tell you what is the mind. The mind is thoughts. Mind is emotions. They will say all this like that. But how beautifully Gurudev has defined in his books, which even our teenagers read, such as Kindle Life, youngsters read as Manual of Self-Unfoldment. And if you have not read any one of those, which means your children know more than you. He points out very beautifully, mind is made up of thoughts. Of course we know that. But no, it is not a thought or a pool of thoughts that goes to make a mind. Just as a river is not just some droplets of water or a pool of water, it is a continuous flow of water. So just as the river is a continuous flow of water, mind is a continuous flow of thoughts. Even for meditators, this is a very important understanding. Otherwise, we have false expectations, misapprehensions, and we struggle. Then we hear, mind should be halted. Halted mind is no mind. Mind is a continuous series of thoughts. Even meditation is not a fixated thought. No. It is a continuous series of similar thoughts which is called as contemplation. Otherwise, unnecessarily you'll be struggling to do that which is impossible. Mind is a continuous flow of thoughts. So even for a meditator is essential, and even for a person who is learning to manage his or her life, whether as a young person or at any stage of their life, they have to understand that mind is a continuous flow of thoughts, and since it is a continuous flow of thoughts, it is in constant state of flux. Arjuna says, and which Arjuna? Who even as a child, when he was said that shoot the eye of the wooden bird, everybody, including Yudhishthir, some saw the tree, the branch and the bird. Arjuna, others saw the bird. Arjuna saw only the eye of the bird. Such is the mind of Arjuna, so focused on his target, on his goal, that he can shoot the eye of, again, a mechanical fish on a moving wheel, looking at its reflection. Can you imagine? Such an Arjuna tells to Krishna, when he teaches him meditation, in the 6th chapter we find that. The original Gita, there's no chapters, of course. Krishna says, this is 1st chapter, this is 2nd chapter. Arjuna, this is... If those chapters are for us, because you'll immediately ask, where do I refer it? And he says, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna. That this mind of mine, and everybody thinks like that, huh? Good. Even though you want to be psychic, you are not. Because if you try to see somebody else's mind, what it is, you will find that you are no unique. He says, Chanchali mana Krishna. That unsteadiness itself is the mind. Pramathi, stubborn. Bala, strong. Dhrida, unrelenting. This meditation that you talk about, I don't think so it is possible. But Krishna says that no doubt, mind is constantly in flux. But that itself is the beauty of mind. Suppose you took bhang. Don't find out what it is. Nowadays it's quite legal here. And you got... You'll keep on crying or you'll keep on laughing. That's not desirable. There'll be no progress also. So the fact that mind changes is the beauty and strength of mind. And therefore we can change any situation in our life if we have a powerful manager to manage. And therefore, a manager must be also adjusting in different situation. If it was fixated, such a manager cannot manage. So even to know that mind is a continuous flow of thoughts is very important to understand how this mind functions. Another beautiful illustration given by Gurudev is that suppose there is a river that is flowing downhill towards the ocean. muddy, dirty, carrying with it boulders, gushing. Now, if you want to take it back to its source, and generally they come from glaciers, crystal clear lakes like Mansarovar. To take it back, what it has to do is to change its direction. It has to change its quality, reduce its quantity. Now, the sun's rays are falling upon earth, but they get scattered in the atmosphere of the earth. And even though every photon that comes from the sun is a powerhouse in itself, yet cannot burn a piece of paper. But how many of you went to school in India and carried a magnifying glass? And which boys sat near the window and directed it towards other people's legs? And they were suddenly in class, ouch! And they get into trouble with the teacher, disturbing the class. The same rays of light that comes in this patch, if it is made to move in a beam, just like a laser beam, to a dot, to a point, see how much powerful it is. And therefore the importance of the concentration, focus, and single-pointedness of the mind. Now, mind is not just a laser beam to penetrate into your bones. Mind has a huge expanse or field to live in, to work in. Now, if that river were to be muddy, dirty, filthy, what would happen? The brilliance of the sun will not be seen in it. No? The beautiful reflection of the trees will not be seen in it. All you will see a muddy river. And this muddy river is very easy to drown. Because if you are in that muddy river, you can't see anything. And the third is that river can carry you to a waterfall. The river can carry you into the vast ocean. Or that river can direct you towards the shore. Or even take your boat to its shopping destination. Earlier, trade used to happen by boats. So just this picture in our mind to understand that what is the mind and what is required to manage this mind. It is this mind only, as the scriptures say, is the cause of your bondage. This mind alone is the cause of your liberation. Both is by the mind only. It is this mind only that makes you happy. It is this mind only that makes you cry. It is this mind only that takes people to success, and this mind only brings you to failure. And this mighty mind, the most sophisticated, powerful technology of the universe, from which every other technology, including AI, is built. Yeah? Everybody wants to study AI. I hope you know that, right? It'll be in our new university for sure. And I know that our students will be able to understand it much better. For those who know how the mind works, they alone can know how artificial intelligence can work. Just now only I met a professor just last few days ago. He says it's all about logical thinking. And The complete science of logic is there in our Nyaya philosophy. And until and unless someone studies that properly, that AI that we are aiming for will not be very easy to build for every field possible. And what Gurudev had envisioned this long ago, that we will have a university where Indian knowledge systems will be integrated with modern contemporary knowledge and requirements that is there. What sciences we've had, we have lost it. But have you realized what we have lost is not just the science, the books of science, the technology that made such, even today, we see architectural feats. We don't have to go anywhere to see the evidence of what engineering, architecture, right? 80-ton stone on a height of a temple. If you just think about it, how did they manage all this? Such science is also possible when we have a mind. And what we have lost is not that literature, not that architecture, not those beautiful sculptures of art. We have lost a huge heritage of knowledge. And even that is not. We have lost a mindset to be able to discover, understand, and apply that knowledge in our life and for the benefit of society. So, when you say management of the mind, it's not just for meditation. It is not just to deal with some problems of your life. Really, even for greater success in life, it is this training of the mind. Now, first and foremost, very simple is, right? Find out what is this mind made up of. One, we said it's a constant flow of thoughts. But it is in this mind there is also the reflection of consciousness. And therefore, there is always this tug of war in the mind that now it drifts towards spirituality, goodness, purity, knowledge, and then, whoops, it boomerangs into sheer materialism, sensuality, etc. That's the best description is Surpanakha in the Ramayana. Even a Surpanakha gets attracted to Ramchandraji. Today, go out in the material world. Even the worst of people will be attracted to spirituality. So don't say, oh, Ravan also was a devotee. In everyone, there are these two aspects. The consciousness and the matter. And therefore you'll see the mind drifting sometimes towards being introvert and sometimes being extrovert. Predominantly extrovert. So sometimes even in a Ravan, little devotion comes, Surpanakha also. But how quickly he says, look, Lakshman is fair, I am dark. Chalo. You know the crush that Indians have to the fair skin, right? So chum, she goes there. Then of course, Lakshman says, but I am the employee, he is the employer. Shadi.com. Yeah? Chum, she goes there. So this is what our mind, it constantly wavers because it has the good in it and it has the matter also dull matter in it. That's why it's made up of the three moods: sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. You've heard of all these things. When the mind turns towards something higher, nobler, the self, the consciousness, you will say God, it is sattvic. When does it become rajasic? When it desires material things. When does it become tamasic? When it itself has become lethargic like an inert object. See? So this internal tug of war is constantly taking place. It all depends what you choose. Therefore, to children also, in life also, two paths is eternally available for everybody. One is the path of pleasure and the other is the path of duties, dedication, achievement. It's called as Shreyas. Prayas, pleasurable. Shreyas doesn't mean that it has to be pain, torturous. But may not be pleasurable. But its end result is long-term happiness, and this is short-term happiness. And therefore, in the mind also there is a capacity to discriminate between permanent, impermanent, long-term, short-term, and that part of the mind is called as the intellect. And intellect can function and make the right choices only when it has got knowledge. Only those who have got knowledge can make choices even in their destiny. Others only live their destiny. Not many people are able to. That's why they can be easily predicted. And don't tell me that you have to go to an astrologer for it, no? All of you must have heard your mother is predicting exactly what you're going to become. That if you don't study, you'll become a coolie. Yeah? So therefore, you studied and you're not a coolie. Otherwise, you'd be one. So this mind has got all these properties. And don't say the mind is always restless. If it was always restless, then it could never go to sleep. It would never be able to meditate. It would not be able to listen right now. Is it not? So mind can be calm. Mind can also be restless. If we understand all these faculties of the mind and how to harness its force, direct its force, then we are able to manage the mind. Now just simple tips. If you have to conquer an enemy that is who is formidable, who's very difficult to conquer, not only very powerful but very clever, very tricky. You can't fight all enemies with might. That's what Krishna says, your mind is your best friend, your mind is your deadliest enemy. And when your enemy is so strong, your master who has enslaved you with chains and chains and himself is a ruthless master, to fight against, revolt against such a master is not easy. Therefore, mind has to be conquered with strategy, not by mere force. Those who try to do it by mere force only create suppression, and that suppression eventually breaks forth like a volcano. See, whenever you go to mummy and you're being a little bit irritating and mum says, I'm not going to tell you anything. Oh, mum is not going to tell anything. You wait. Yeah? The more the volcano is suppressed, the more the volcano is going to blow off, spreading lava around it. Therefore, The word is managing the mind, not suppressing, not even controlling the mind. And when the enemy is so powerful, that enemy, you have to know its strength and its weakness. Therefore, first and foremost is know your enemy. You know why today you all are all fighting for your identity? They know everything about you, but you know nothing about them. They know your strength, they know your weakness. You only see their strength. You don't recognize what is their weakness. Same way, you have to recognize what gives your mind the power to kick up a storm. What gives the power to your mind to enslave you? What gives the power to your mind to not be focused and to be scattered? And therefore Arjuna calls the mind as a storm. He said, you might be able to also bear a storm, but if this mind kicks up a storm, like it did for Arjuna, that storm is not easy to conquer, because you'll conquer it with your mind only, isn't it? Yeah. So know what gives strength to the mind and what gives power to the mind. So quick tips, finally you'll find your own ways of doing it. Number one, your mind has many thoughts and gets distracted and gets carried away even into sinful or harmful actions because of the senses. These are the doorways from which thoughts, temptations, and all come into the mind. But our rishis didn't say become like the three monkeys. They did not say shut your eyes, shut your ears, shut your mouth. Mind has got the aspect of intellect. Make the right choices or pray for the right things. And if you pray, pray is a form of affirmation. If you're asking from nature something which is good for you and for others, it will come to you. Therefore, our prayer is Badram Karnebi Shruniyama Deva. Badram Pashe Makshabirya Jatra. Sthirairangai Stushtuvagam Sastanubi. Vyashema Deva Hitam Yadayu. You just take half that shloka. It doesn't say do not see. See, but see that which is auspicious. And what is considered to be auspicious? That will bring peace, harmony, equipoise to the mind. Anything that agitates and disturbs your mind, and still we'll keep on watching those same news, reading those same social media. You can at least shut it off. Dhamma. No, but how can I not be without social media? Then Shama. Yeah? As you go outside, take the QR code. You'll be connected to everything nice. I mean it, I'm not joking. So you can be on social media. You can watch videos on social media. You can hear podcasts on social media. But see that what you bring in through your senses into the temple of your body is that which is auspicious, because the Lord of that temple, you, reside in it. So therefore, Bhadram karani vishuddham. May we hear that which is auspicious. But Swamiji, it's not that we go and choose to, television we can shut down. But sometimes, office or family members, how we can shut down? There is something called as cross ventilation. Yeah. How is it? And say, men have that very well, Swamiji. Yeah. It just goes from this ear, goes out in between. Probably there's nothing to filter it, Yeah. Many wives complain that, But what about women, They have got choice hearing. Have you noticed? They don't cross-ventilate. There's nothing that they don't hear. See, this is our strength. Please understand. I'm not joking or, making fun of. We have these abilities in us. Use them. We use them for different reasons. Use it for your self-development. Yeah? Another thing is, what about teenagers? Who are neither daddy nor mummy. What do you do about these teenagers? Haven't you seen them? They remain so focused that mummy may be screaming away, daddy will be lecturing away. It's called as shama. Keep your mind on a higher and nobler goal. Remain steadfast to that goal. A lot of unnecessary clutter will not be kept in the mind. See, these are simple things. But if these are not taken care of and you want to go for this 1 month meditation course where you don't eat much, you don't sleep much, you don't talk much, and you don't do anything, of course you will be quiet. But when you come back, see what happens. So what is required is, see that we hear that. That's why surround yourself in good company. Why in Indian homes, we put all God pictures around? Yeah? Not these, rock star. If you want such a figure, Lord Shiva is there. Auspiciousness. Because along with that which you consider as cool, there is also good. See, associate with that. Therefore Shankaracharya says, Satsangatve Nisangatva. Cannot be underestimated. There will be so many distractions, there is so many negativity outside. But keep your mind in satsang. Company of good people. Even in company of good people, sometimes bad things also are said and done. No? There use the other faculties. Cross ventilation, choice hearing. But predominantly when you're surrounded by good, you tell the children that, isn't it? Why is it? Because what we hear, what we see, is what we think, and what we think we become. You tell that to the children, but what about us? Surround yourself with good company. These are very simple methods and most effective methods. Don't worry, I'll tell you the very difficult methods also, which you then say that, I cannot do that, but that was really very good. Yeah? It is not shutting your senses down. Earlier we used to say, sense control. I remember whenever I was in the West or in New Zealand, Australia, I used the word sense control because language, vocabulary, translation, and everybody would go out of control. And everything in Tattva Bodh, it is there, Dhamma. Yeah? In books of success, like Vibhishan Gita, Dhamma is there. Now, where is it that you can't, that such an important element of managing the mind? I'm using the title also, managing the mind. But there was an Australian who sent me a note from, he wanted to hear my talks because he was cooking for everybody in the campsite. And he sent me a note, Swamiji, these days, people are very allergic to the word control. Try using the word sense management. Ever since that, I've used this word management. The sense management, not sense control. Even the chariot, the beautiful picture of the chariot in Kathopanishad, in the chapter of Adhyatma Yoga, that is meditation, a beautiful illustration is given to us for us to contemplate upon, and picture speaks more than 1,000 words. Those who came this morning also, the power of pictures. And therefore the beautiful analogy or the metaphor of the chariot. That imagine if you are riding a chariot whose horses are all in different direction, wild and untamed. The reins are loose or so weak that they snap. Each horse running in its own direction. And of course, you do have a charioteer, but he is drunk and doesn't have GPS. Picture is very clear, no? But if you have a charioteer who is intelligent, who knows his way, alert, vigilant, balanced, when you have such a driver, in whose hand the steering wheel is there, and even if you're driving in the streets of Bombay, where people dash from this side, that side, that side, if you learn to drive in Bombay, you can learn to drive your mind. These are certain tips, you know. How to dodge. Whose ropes of the mind are strong and steady, and whose horses are tamed. And do you know that war horses, they generally have, what do you call them, blinkers? Huh? So that they don't go on the wayside. Yeah? These are beautiful metaphors given to us on how to manage this mind. So first of all, from where does the mind get power? Secondly, mind gets power from what? Imagination. We just sit and wool gather. We just imagine. That's happened to Sita also. Oh, that's a golden deer. How nice. If this pretty deer goes with me, I'll be the rare one to have a golden deer as a pet. Yeah. And even if at some time it dies, can you imagine if I have a handbag? These days, handbags. I have a handbag. Yeah. Not even just branded, but exclusive. One-piece edition. Yeah, everybody else. See how mind keeps on imagining. And with that, it creates desires. Once a desire becomes strong, it becomes lust. If it is not fulfilled, anger. If it's fulfilled, greed. Yeah. See the turmoils it creates in our mind. Therefore, how not to be carried away by these imaginations? And idle mind is the devil's workshop. We've all heard this as children, isn't it? And therefore, Gita doesn't say the mind is a devil's workshop. Gita just says, keep your mind focused on your duties. Keep your mind focused on a higher ideal. Keep your mind focused on a higher goal. And you know this from your children also. You have, nowadays you have only 2, you should have 3. Yeah, you must. Even scientifically, clinically proven. for many reasons, no? ये हम दो हमारे दो, yeah? But say you have 2 or 3 children. One, you will find you don't even have to tell them to study. They study, they are clever, everything, in school. And the other, you can scream, shout, yeah? But nothing happens. You can force them to sit down also, nothing happens. And it's not a matter of genes. Because she will say, it's your genes. He will say, no, it is your genes. It is not a matter of genes. That's why we have Gayatri Mantra. Dhiyo yo na prachodayat. Intelligence is not a matter of genes. Therefore, keep the mind focused. And one of the best way to keep the mind focused on an ideal, on your duty, and make it single-pointed is mantra japa. That is why the moment the child is ready for education, he or she is, and I say she also, initiated into mantra japa. Because a mind which is idle will be easily distracted by the pleasures of the senses, and even if it is not the pleasure of the senses, this constant imagination and wool gathering that we create in our mind. Therefore, lust is in the mind. So it is the mind that gathers all this. Third is the impressions from the past. How is it? Today, so many youngsters were there for Bhiksha. And somebody thought, Swamiji has come here. He must have something different. Because Swami means sambar, rice, khichdi, dal. That only, right? So they said, no, Austin is different. We will make something special. What? Tex-Mex. What is Tex-Mex? Swamiji, we'll have nachos. You'll be dancing in the ashram. No, Swamiji, it's a Mexican dish. You've never had nachos. Never had nachos. I made the mistake of saying, no, I've not had nachos. Oh, then this one lady said, I'm not talking about Austin. Lady said that, okay, this is not the first place in Texas I've come, that I will be making, my Bhiksha will be Tex-Mex. My Bhiksha. And Swamiji will have tacos. Nachos. I say, एक तो nacho, दूसरा taco. क्या है, That is आजकल Bollywood का dance हो. इधर मारो, उधर मारो. Taco मारो, nacho. That's all, So I was wondering, what is it? And meanwhile, it's spread amongst these youngsters. Swamiji is eating nachos. So I wonder why so many youngsters came for the Bhiksha today. Yeah. So, nachos. Now, I have not eaten nachos, but everybody is talking about nachos. Finally, I'm saying, okay, get over with it. When are you making the nachos? No, that will be on the last day. So, nacho, you hear. I don't even know what it is. Okay, it's a Mex dish. Okay, I'll eat it. And then when you come there, if it's from Mexico, it's different. If it's Taco Bell, it comes in front of you. Pokey corners. Yeah? Then underneath you can see a little bit of brown, smushy, yucky things. Yeah? Reminds you of what I can't say. Then you have some red. You know, you ask, is it vegetarian? Red. And then on the top, yellow, melting, oozing. And what yellow oozes out of you, like oozing. You wonder, no wonder this is what's happening to the youngsters nowadays. And then you take that, and then they say, Swamiji, eat it. And you just say, okay, now that you've said that, it is there. So you think, I don't know why, probably you eat it and everybody starts nachna. Oh, I realized it. I put it in my mouth. And just when I put it, wait, Swamiji, but I'd already gone in my mouth. First of all, it poked me in 3 places. Other thing, it burnt my palate. This is Swamiji, wait till it cools. But too bad, now I understood. And plus jalapeno on it. Why they call it as nacho? Because I wanted to jump up at that time. Nacho. I was wondering, what is this nacho? No? And everybody's saying, and they're busy watching at my expression. And then, when that crispiness and the complete blend of explosion of taste, which is, and its aftertones, not bad. Meanwhile, these youngsters have come and picked up all the nachos and gone, and you look at there, then they said, okay, Swamiji, you ate the nachos, just dal chawal for you. Now, that I've had the nacho, now what my mind does? Dal, chawal, which you eat every day. Swamiji, you like it, we made that for you. That too also not spicy. But you're looking at dal, chawal, but your mind is going nacho, and that is called as nacho. That's called as vasanas that create more and more desires, and sometimes you don't even know from where they come. But the Bhagavad Gita has given a simple method, and what is simple is the first step to lead you to the highest step. Will you follow it? Manoge? Yes. Will you follow it? Yeah. Keep your mind on your duties. Keep a goal that you have. Your mind will be focused, your mind will be free of distractions, and if it is a goal that you love, since I've already spoken about love, there's devotion in the mind, then purity of mind, single-pointedness of mind, direction of mind, all is achieved. Therefore, our emphasis is not on rights. Baba, rights you can only fight. It is on duties. And those duties, if they are done with gratitude, as an offering to the Lord, or as an offering to a higher goal, even if it is the common goal for the good of the family, and you work sincerely towards it. How many wives attained sainthood when their husbands had to struggle so much for it? Yeah? Just single-pointed performance of one's duty. Oh, that duty, no beauty, we know what is there, But just do that. Another thing is, mind is always anxious about its results. Therefore, worries, anxieties. Since I was going to speak on stress management, which I don't know that I'm not speaking, so they stressed me out by I'm not speaking on stress management, so I have to cover everything today. But some things of it will be continued tomorrow also. And that is managing grief and sorrow. But that also depends on the managing of the mind. So, in that manner, this mind, when it is doing its duties, there's no question of what I get, because duty is out of gratitude. I've taken something, I have a duty. Wherever I'm placed, say by nature or God, is my duty. Whatever is required, needed of me, is my duty. And when I do my duty, all this get very easily. And whatever comes as result, accept it as his prasad. This is again and again repeated. And people want to do all esoteric practices, breathing, this, that, standing on the head, twisting their body, and call it as yoga. Yoga is chitta vritti nirodha. Managing the thoughts of your mind is yoga. And how easily it gets managed. Further, as we've already told you, whenever the mind is free, don't keep it free. Keep chanting a mantra, even if it's the name of the Lord. I'm sure you've heard that story, that there was a disciple of a guru said, Guru, I know you've got lots of power, right? If you give me a genie, then I can spend more time in meditation and doing your work. Otherwise, washing my clothes, doing all this. Guru said, manage with what you have. But no, I want a genie, I want a genie, I want a genie. He said, every genie these days come with their own contract. Yeah? And what is the contract? The genie himself will say. Anyway, he got a genie, and the genie appeared and says, and look at it, what a genie. He just said, you will give me work every second of every minute. He said, wow, great. Where do you get such a servant, right? He said, yes. So, immediately said, get me a bucket of water. He got him the bucket of water. When he was trying to have bath, he said, now tell me what to do. Otherwise I'll eat you up. So he said, oh, go, big food. By the time he's not even put one, food is ready. Finally, he had nothing to tell. And so fast to tell. Even his imagination failed him. So that genie said, I'm going to eat you up now. He went running to the guru. He said, well, this is irrevocable contract. He said, but now you please save me. He said, when I gave you the advice, you did not listen. So listen to this advice. Now when the genie comes, tell him to go home and build a post. A long post. Whenever you require him to do something for you, you bring him down, let him do. When you've got nothing for him to do, tell him, go up the post, go up the post, go up the post, come down the post, go up the post, come down the post. Right? And when you require him, oh, I've sent this email, come. Not email? Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. These are simple methods of mastering this mind that people say is the most difficult to master. And you have to give the simplest to everybody, right? And the simplest is the most effective. And all that leads you to meditation. Got it? Even in office, if everybody did their duty, where will there be any conflict? So, manage the manager. Tomorrow will be managing grief and sorrow. And it will also link up with this topic of managing the manager, as well as the previous, also where failures, loss of wealth, all these can be added into it. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate